NRI Directors says warnings were issued. Morobe's economy projected to see new growth. The ICCC slams over PMV's overcharging.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome. This is Friday's news. Thanks for joining us. Director for the National Research Institute, Dr. Thomas Webster, says the Prime Minister was warned that the framework established to implement the SABL recommendations was not going to work. Individuals who are implicated in the SABL controversy should have not been given the job to fixing the problem.
We're talking about the small and medium enterprises.
Dr. Webster was responding to comments made by Prime Minister O'Neill yesterday. The setup Dr. Webster is referring to is the ministerial committee that was put in place to implement the recommendations of the SABL Commission of Inquiry.
Those departments and the heads of those departments and individuals within those departments were the ones who issued or who were responsible for issuance of the SABL lists in the first place. And to have them try to rectify this, it will be quite difficult.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister said the delay in implementing the recommendations was because the bureaucracy was not responding to political directions.
And Cabinet has made a very firm recommendation that all SABL licenses be cancelled. Now, it is up to our bureaucrats to start doing that.
The special agriculture business leases became a national and an international issue when it was uncovered that over 5.2 million hectares of customary land were converted to agricultural business leases without the knowledge and consent of customary landowners. An investigation at a cost of 15 million kina was completed last year, and people are still waiting for the recommendations to be implemented. Dr. Webster said he hopes the committee that will monitor the implementation next year is made up of experts who have sound knowledge of PNG's land issues. Civil society groups who have been following the SABL issue share similar sentiments.
The people are still waiting, and some of them are actually going through the court processes to get their land back, and it's costing them millions and millions of kina.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, civil society organisation Act Now PNG says the Prime Minister should stop playing the blame game. Act Now says 18 months is more than enough time to have recommendations from the SABL inquiry implemented.
The Minister to say that the bureaucracy have to act or they have to follow the political directives. Then the ministers themselves are involved as well in the SABL scheme. So, and those ministers are in his government, and he has to act to make sure that these ministers are prosecuted.
Morobe has seen significant growth in the last 3 years, and that is expected to further transform Lae City's economic prospects. The new wharf, the Lae Tanaza 4-lane highway, and the Wafi Golpu mine are some of the major developments in the province. These are expected to create more jobs and economic benefits for the local people.
Lae has been the center of focus in recent years, with the national government's plan to make it the industrial hub of Papua New Guinea. Millions of kina have been injected into fixing the Lae roads, the Engau Hospital, and establishing investor confidence in the fisheries and agriculture sector. The government has also put in place the public-private partnership, which allows local landowners to partner in these developments.
We really like to work with the government. If only the government can, look at those landowners, how best we can, participate in the spin-off and in any development for the betterment of the country as a whole.
The multi-million Kina Lae tidal basin is expected to generate more than half of PNG Port's revenue. Wafi Golpu mine project is into feasibility studies, and the Najaf 4-lane highway will open up access for goods and services to and from the highlands region. With this unprecedented growth, many local people will be expecting vital services to be driven down to the communities.
With the small entity or small companies that we have on our land, must really participate in order to, me plan not going to crossfire to this lakan, so we can at least make something out of our land instead of us standing and watching as spectators on our own land. Likewise, in every other centers in Papua New Guinea, I believe the landowners really want to see that happen.
The national government wants to see wealth generated from Lae City being equally distributed throughout Papua New Guinea. The Morobe provincial government is also expecting more incentives from these projects and also increase economic activities. Apart from mining and infrastructure developments, the agriculture and fisheries sectors are also expected to bring in more revenue for Morobe province. Sylvester Gawi, National MTV News, Lae.
And still on Lae's growing economy, the improved roads and extended wharf will be used to lure in companies to invest in Morobe's tuna industry. It comes as Morobe's Fisheries Management Authority increases its focus on attracting investors to establish fish processing plants in Lae. The tuna industry is expected to flourish when the Lae Tidal Basin project comes into full operation and all the Lae roads are fixed.
It's being prepared to become one of the biggest tuna capital in the Asia Pacific and possibly the world. The idea is simple: use the industrial hub's improved roads and the extended wharf to attract investors. Whilst most emphasis has been placed on Medang's Pacific Marine Industrial Zone, Lae will have improved roads and wharves to cater for around 7 multi-million kina tuna processing plants.
We have about 5 tuna canneries already on the ground operating, and we have another few more which are due to come on stream.
Morobe Governor Kelly Naru has already signed deals with tuna fishing companies to establish factories in Lae. He says the future looks good for provincial coffers, but he admits that local fishermen need more help to get their fish to a market to put money into their pockets.
All the people coming in will come into a particular landing zone and basically get offloaded, and also have the other services like the fish market and maybe other amenities.
The government is making Lae a tuna capital, but local fishermen on Morobe's coast want equal participation in the billion kina industry when it happens.
The raw value of tuna caught in PNG waters is around 1.5 billion kina. PNG is an exclusive economic zone. 3.5 billion tons of tuna are caught in PNG waters. That's 18% of the world's tuna. But most of these fish are taken to Taiwan to be processed. That's about to change, starting in Morobe.
Weti Zozangoa, the Provincial Fisheries Services Manager, explains the scale of the operations that's beginning in Lae.
The competition between PMI Jet project in Medan and Lae, I think most investors have come here. Maybe one registered or interested and registered its interest to go to Medan, but lately that it might not establish a business there.
Local landowners have already agreed to lease out their lands for the tuna industry. The $38 million Majestic Seafood Factory, that is the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere, is already being built. It's part of around 6 tuna processing plants that are going to be built in Lae. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Lae.
Teachers from both the NCD and Central Province fronted up at the National Department of Education, venting their anger over the non-payment of their entitlements and leave fares. Many expressed dissatisfaction at their treatment they have received to date, claiming ineptitude on the part of the provincial education departments in both Central and NCD.
With the festive season fast approaching, a number of teachers fronted up at the counters at the National Department of Education office, Waigani, venting their frustrations.
How come this been shut up for almost 3 weeks?
And they're closing today.
The school year has been over for 3 weeks now, and many of those present had been hoping to be back in their respective destinations for the holidays.
They are their final entitlements, which is supposed to be paid in time and before Christmas and New Year period is up. So what we are learning now is that they have a cash flow problem. Now, we do not understand what cash flow problem is. Because we are teachers, we want to get our entitlements on time.
Current processes are that leave fares are credited to third-party travel agents with options to receive cash outs with a small percentage deducted.
We got a concern also. Perhaps it was a wrong interpretation of the scheme, of the leave fare scheme, that any dependent within that sector is registered, with the family. They are all registered under that scheme, and they are entitled for that, no matter where your family is living, because in NCD we cannot cater everybody to here, because housing is not a condition.
But the main reason has been the lack of communication between the provincial and national departments, resulting in a chaotic process, rather than one that could have easily been sorted.
It has been all the way. I think as far as I understand today, we teachers at the Hiri district, most of us are not going this Christmas. We have not been paid up to the time that I'm speaking now. I have about maybe 60 to 70 of my colleagues still to get paid from Hiri district.
Now, a source from inside the National Department of Education did confirm that there were a large number of teachers who had come over expressing pure frustration. However, he also went on to state that the responsibility did actually, in fact, go back to the provincial level, and it was late submissions from the NCD Department of Education towards the National Department that had led to this issue. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV News.
And in news coming up, Maprik MP John Simon declared duly elected MP after a Supreme Court challenge. That's and more after the break. Good to have you back with the news. Member for Maprik John Simon has been recognized by the Supreme Court as the duly elected member for Maprik. The Supreme Court today dismissed the election petition review filed by petitioner and former MP Gabriel Capris. After almost 2 years of court, John Simon is determined to implement some of the outstanding projects in the district's development plan.
Election petition, this review case is now all over, so we can move on now. We can now focus on the developments of Maprik. This doubt about election petition, doubt about the Supreme Court review is all over now. So today, the Supreme Court dismissed the case and awarded the cost as well. And now that it's all over, I am confident that people of Maprik will now see this decision as good for them, that they will all come and we will all work together to bring much needed services and development to the people of Maprik.
The National Airports Corporation has issued a warning to all airline companies operating within Papua New Guinea to abide by the aviation laws. Chief Operating Officer Sylvester Kenatsi says airlines and individuals found to be in breach of these laws will be prosecuted.
The National Airports Corporation issued this warning following the illegal landing of a Tropic aircraft last Thursday at Aropa, Kieta in the autonomous region of Bougainville. The airport was closed by NAC at the time the landing occurred, a day before its commissioning last Friday, as contractors were still working on the airport. The aircraft, flown by 2 pilots, carried 2 passengers, the diesel employees, on the way to Ara to fix Bank South Pacific equipment. The pilot was questioned after landing, who said was unaware of the airport's closure.
It's okay to come out here, and now we get here and you guys are well, NAC is telling us the airport's still under construction, which obviously it is. But you know, like, the information hasn't got the Port Moresby saying that the airport's closed, so
the whole country knows about it. This airport is...
Chief Operating Officer Sylvester Kennedy told MTV News the pilots are well aware of the laws but sneak up and down to non-operational airports. Mr. Kennedy said the matter has been raised with regulator Civil Aviation Safety Authority, CASA, and legal process will proceed. If found to be negligent, the airline and pilots will be fined, convicted, or even have their operating license withdrawn. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission has slammed overcharging by public motor vehicle owners in Port Moresby. Last week, the Waigani District Court ruled in favour of the ICCC and found 2 PMV owners guilty of overcharging passengers on 2 urban routes in Port Moresby. The penalties included fines of 300 kina each for the PMV owners, or a term of imprisonment if they do not pay the fines.
The District Court on Wednesday, 10th December, ruled in favor of the ICCC, finding 2 PMV owners guilty of charging passengers as high as 2 kina for routes within Port Moresby City. ICCC Commissioner Dr. Billy Manoka said the maximum fare for urban routes is 80 toya and for school children it's 40 toya. ICCC took legal action after complaints from the public. Magistrate Cosmas Bida decided to hand down fines of 300 kina each and a 3-month imprisonment term if they do not pay the fines. Dr. Manoka was happy with the court ruling, saying the ICCC wants to deal with the high incidence of overcharging by PMV operators in urban and rural routes. Dr. Manoka said overcharging by PMVs is common and people are just accepting it. He is calling on all PMV operators to charge according to the approved fares to avoid prosecution and unnecessary costs to their business. Delhi Bagu, National MTV News.
Police in NCD will be enforcing a liquor ban in Port Moresby during this festive season. Police officers will also be carrying out patrols and community awareness daily to ensure that families have safe celebrations.
NCD Police will be focusing on minimizing issues relating to domestic violence in all suburbs in Port Moresby. This includes ensuring public and motorist safety for NCD residents.
Most of our police officers, especially in the stations and other units, they'll all concentrate around the areas.
In October, the NCD Liquor Licensing Board banned the sale and consumption of alcohol in 8 Mile, 9 Mile and Morata.
We will be looking at conducting awareness programs in the communities, in the settlements.
The ban has seen a significant drop in alcohol-related problems.
We will be conducting police operations, looking at illegal sale of alcohol, illegal sale of illicit drugs, other illegal activities that are happening within the community. Officers will be embarking on them.
With the ban now established in Port Moresby, the 9 station commanders are confident that there will be less alcohol-related crimes and accidents recorded at their stations. Meanwhile, the National Road Safety Council has also commenced its operations to keep unworthy vehicles off the road. Taklagunga, National MTV News.
And on that same note, NCD Police Boss Andy Bauer has confirmed that there has been a surge in petty crimes in Port Moresby's Jack Piddock Park. He said while police cannot always provide security for everyone, families are advised to take extra precautions when attending the festive celebrations at night. This follows a number of instances of harassment and the recent stabbing of a police officer. Yesterday, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill also appealed to the public to respect the law.
That there has been numerous incidences that have happened here. I almost became a victim myself here as well. A Sunday ago, I was driving down the runabout and I almost got my phone pinched. So if it can happen to me, you know, it's happening.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.388 in the interbank market. And at Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3805 $0.4621 Australian dollars, $0.3063 euro, and 44.82 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, coffee and copper closed lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed higher, while copper closed lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 710 points higher, the ASX closed at 177 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 172 points higher. And National MTV News continues after the break. A Christmas message of compassion from the Bishop of Lae and the death of 8 children in Australia investigated. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Lae Catholic Bishop Christian Bluin says more youth programs will help to change young people. Law and order problems have seen much of the blame being levelled against young people. While churches are conducting programs to curb the problem, more support is needed from the national government.
The Catholic Church is one that has programs that keeps young people away from illegal activities. Lay's Catholic Bishop Christine Bloin explains the whole approach. They have introduced structured youth programs to give alternative opportunities to young people.
And for this, in many parishes, but not all, the youth are coming together. And
what the church is doing is a snapshot of how to address the problem, but the Catholic bishop says it needs the government and community's help. The government is providing few opportunities and some youths are doing it on their own. Gideon Zoro is from the Urban Youth Security Services based in Eriku. He has volunteered to keep Eriku safe and it's keeping him away from crime.
Community.
With Lay experiencing significant economic growth, many young people need jobs to survive in a modern economy. The challenge is on the government to create more employment opportunities. Colleen Barilai, National EMTV News, Lay.
Taking a look at international headlines now, a community in Cairns, Australia is in shock after the bodies of 8 children were found inside one of their homes. Their mother, who was also injured in the attack, is tonight helping police piece together what led to the tragedy.
Bedsheet, a paramedic shields the horror. Inside the home, 8 children lie dead. The oldest 15, the youngest just 8 months old.
This is certainly a tragic and traumatic event with so many people deceased in one place, and it's right up there with one of the most serious things that I've ever had to deal with.
In the Cairns suburb of Morobe, a 34-year-old woman believed to be the children's mother is wheeled from the house on a stretcher. She also has stab wounds.
And obviously some of the police who were on the scene earlier are young junior officers.
The first responders visibly distressed at what was behind the front door. A 20-year-old man found his dead brothers and sisters this morning. A shocked community could only support each other and wonder why. After a week of national tragedy, the Prime Minister responded. This is an unspeakable crime. These are trying days for our country.
Obviously it's going to be a very complex investigation. It's going to take time.
Police are looking at anybody who's had any involvement with the family over the last couple of days. They haven't identified any suspects, but say there's no threat to the community.
One of the hostages of Monday's siege in Sydney has honoured her best friend who didn't make it out alive. Barrister Julie Taylor has described her heartbreak after Katrina Dawson was killed during the shootout which ended the horrific standoff.
Barrister and mother-to-be Julie Taylor. She walked into the Lint Cafe to have a coffee with her good friend Katrina Dawson. Nearly 17 hours later, Julie ran free, but Katrina never survived. In a statement, Julie said, "Katrina Dawson was the most wonderful person I have ever met. She was my closest friend, a role model and confidant. Her bravery and strength was and continues to be a comfort and inspiration for me. She invested every moment of her life in her friends and family and will be greatly missed by everyone who has known her."
1, 2, 3.
My name's Julie Taylor.
Mid-afternoon on the Monday, Julie was forced to record a video of the gunman's demands. The same day, he forced her to call the 9 newsroom. It was an insight into what was going on in the cafe.
Who are you with right now? Did you go in with somebody?
I came in with some friends, but I'm not allowed to say how many people are here.
Okay, all right. Are your friends okay?
Yeah, my friends are okay.
Julie also paid tribute to Tory Johnson, who was killed by the gunman. Although our acquaintance was forged under the worst imaginable circumstances, I feel privileged to have known you, and I will always remember you as a kind, considerate, level-headed and courageous person. It was clear to me how much you loved your family and how much compassion you had for everyone you met. I am grateful that you were with me throughout our ordeal.
Yesterday, Julie Taylor was just another face in the crowd here at Martin Place. She came in and quietly laid some flowers for her good friend Katrina Dawson. She says the sight of so many tributes and messages of support has given her great comfort and strength for the coming weeks.
Julie thanked police for her rescue, the ambulance staff and the doctors and nurses at RPA who looked after her and gave her the most important news of all. My husband and I have been told that our unborn baby is healthy and unharmed by this crisis. If all goes well, and there is no reason to think that it won't, we will give birth to a precious baby in a few months.
While some promising new treatments for breast cancer are years away from regular treatment, others are on the market. The new drugs block the formation of new blood vessels that feed tumours and help them grow.
A new drug could be life-changing to women with terminal breast cancer.
It's not a cure, it's the next best thing.
Perjeta and Kadcyla are two new intravenous treatments for women with secondary breast cancer, where the disease has spread to other parts of the body.
Women are finding that their quality of life is better, their disease is better controlled, as well as extending their survival.
52-year-old Liz Kirkland was diagnosed 6 years ago, but after a mastectomy and chemotherapy, the cancer returned.
It was really horrendous, and I'd also lost hope because it seemed to me that no matter what chemotherapy we tried, nothing was really working.
The mother of four has been trialling Kadcyla and says the treatment has bought her precious time and allowed her to raise her family.
I'm just so happy. I can't even explain it. I've got a huge amount of energy. On the other chemos, I really couldn't do anything.
But these new therapies are costly. Women currently pay up to $90,000 a year for treatment. That's between $12,000 and $20,000 per cycle. But if listed on the pharmaceutical benefits scheme, the drug would cost patients just $36.90 per unit.
At the moment, only women who can afford to pay these huge amounts of money can access the drugs. Once they're subsidised by government, all women will have equal access.
After reviewing both drugs, late today the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee recommended Perjeta be listed on the PBS, but deferred its decision on Kadcyla despite its success in clinical trials. The federal government will have to give final approval before Perjeta is made available.
And that report wraps up our news segment tonight. But stay tuned, Trukai Sports is next and the Pukpuks on the road to glory. That story after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Thanks for your company and welcome to Trukai Sports. Finally putting an end to their 10-year losing streak, the journey to qualifying for the HSBC International Rugby Sevens circuit wasn't easy for the PNG Pukpuks, with new appointments to sudden exclusions and disappointments at the 2014 Glasgow Commonwealth Games, to then making history for PNG Rugby and improving the current status. Now the Pukpuks are in preparation for their biggest year yet in 2015.
PNG Pukpuk Sevens boys have had a phenomenal year in 2014 with the recent appointment of former Fijian Sevens coach Fretzi Verabula and Sevens successor Freddie Matthews earlier in the year. The image and reputation of Sevens was taken to all new heights. Their first hurdle, the 2014 Glasgow Commonwealth Games. The PNG RFU was in agreement with the ACT Brumbies, whereby Sevens players were sent abroad to train under the expertise of highly trained and professional coaches to further strengthen and upskill the boys. Despite their disappointing performance at the Commonwealth Games, where the Pukpuks lost to Samoa, the boys moved on to the next avenue, the Oceania Sevens in Noosa. The boys had a double header in the final qualifier for the 2015 HSBC IRB Wellington Sevens, which was the turning point for rugby sevens in Papua New Guinea. However, this new chapter also unleashed another controversy struck when PNG speedster on the wing Albert Levy lashed onto social media criticizing the PNG RFU. Now, team manager at the time, Corey Chan, spoke out on the lack of organization leading into the tournament, however, gave reassurance that rugby was heading in the right direction. Now, with the growth and development of rugby continuing to expand through development programs and other community initiatives under the wing of PNG RFU, the PNG Sevens boys have much more to look forward to in 2015. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
5 months since the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, Charlie Keama from Eboa Village, Central Province, still remembers the games where he made it to the 49-kilogram division boxing quarterfinals. NTV caught up with Charlie yesterday at his home in Mekeo, where he was busy training for the 2015 Pacific Games. NTV's Rafaela Kora reports.
The 22-year-old from Ebwa village in Mekelle Central Province is an easygoing and talented boxer. Charlie represented Papua New Guinea at the recent Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in July. Scouted from the village competition, Kiama said representing PNG at the Commonwealth Games has been the highlights of his career so far.
Gym, and nogat punchy bag. Me play using all boost materials. Me play struggle or training.
Kiama won his first fight against Botswana and made it to the quarterfinals at the Commonwealth Games. Kiama now trains under the watchful eyes of coach Alphonse Effie in Eboa. Kiama's focus now is to train hard for the upcoming national championships in Goroka. This tournament will see the selection of the final squad for the 2015 Pacific Games. Kiama is hopefully of being selected to fight for PNG at the Pacific Games in front of home crowd in Port Moresby next July. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
The 2015 Pacific Games Organizing Committee is searching for a suitable and qualified organization to conduct sales of ticketing for the 2015 Pacific Games. This will include sales of informational and promotional services on behalf of the GOC through a one-stop shop agency concept. Small to medium enterprises are being encouraged to submit proposals. Games ticketing manager William Senior said it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for SMEs to participate in service provision for the 2015 Games. The actual pricing of ticketing is yet to be made known. And we'll have all our daily dose of cricket when we return. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. Overseas now, Sonny Bill Williams' switch to boxing has put him in the opening act when boxing returns to Channel 9. And some of the biggest stars in sports will also step into the ring.
It's been dubbed the Footy Show Fight Night. Sonny Bill Williams joining Wallaby Quade Cooper, Blues captain Paul Gallen and a host of Australia's best young boxers at Allphones Arena on January 31. Williams will take on Chauncey Welliver in the main event. Seen here in the white trunks, the American doesn't have Sonny Bill's physique, but he does boast a record of 55 wins from 70 fights.
I had to give the fight night as much credibility as I could. It's pretty daunting when I think about it.
The bout will be Williams' 7th professional fight and his first since leaving the NRL to go back to Super Rugby. He admits he wasn't at his best during the past season with the Roosters.
That's a fair comment, it's fair to say. Looking back, last year was the first time I didn't have a fight in the off-season, so obviously I'm kind of banking on that to propel me to play some good footy come to next season.
Dishing out punishment on the field and in the ring isn't Sonny Bill's only focus these days. The birth of his baby daughter last month putting things into perspective.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's the best challenge. It's a challenge that doesn't get to you. You might be tired getting up in the middle of the night, but when you see her little nose or her ears and you can see yourself in her, it's just the best feeling.
As for a return to league when his rugby contract ends in 2017...
I think I'll be a bit too old by then, bro.
And over to cricket. Australia will be looking for quick wickets when play resumes at the Gabba in Brisbane on day 4. A Stephen Smith century helped put the Aussies well ahead on day 3.
Moving day at the Gabba, and the Indians didn't waste time firming their grip on the contest. Mitch Marsh and Brad Haddon fell cheaply, but fortunately the skipper never looked troubled.
Yeah, that's quality, isn't it? That is a quality stroke from Smith.
Sensing a collapse, the tourist tried ruffling Johnson's feathers with a flurry of sledges, but in hindsight it was a big mistake. Johnson returning fire in devastating fashion.
Oh, he's hit that well, Mitchell Johnson.
He brought up his 50 in quick time, but that was only the start of the destruction as he and Smith turned the game on its head.
That'll take some catching.
With Johnson entertaining, Smith crafted yet another milestone, his 6th Test century.
Would you believe it? There's nothing beyond Steve Smith. First Test as captain of Australia.
The 100 partnership came soon after off just 82 balls. It was fun to watch, not so much for the visitors.
Top edge, this could be out. Could be now, it's over his head. It's gone all the way.
With temperatures rising, Johnson tried to keep cool, but then just 12 runs shy of a second Test century.
Oh, he's edged that one.
The skipper following him back to the pavilion soon after, but little did anyone expect Mitchell Starc to continue the onslaught.
Pounded, absolutely smoked, wide and mid-on for 4 more.
It wasn't just India copping a battering, umpire Rasmus also